Hey guys, do you like scary stories? You guys like scary stories, right? You guys want a nice spooky segment, something nice and spooky, something that'll get you nice and spooked. Well, boy, do I have a spooky story for you guys. Only it's real. It's not a story. It's just me telling you a thing that is real. I'm reading this from Aaron in the Morning's blog, or like article. It's like an article that Aaron in the Morning wrote. Okay. They good posts on Twitter, good articles I've read in the past, and it's on some pretty scary shit. So let's go over it. Oklahoma could force trans people under 26 years old to detransition medically. A new bill has been filed in Oklahoma that would ban gender-affirming care under the age of 26. Republican states are moving towards banning transition entirely. A terrifying new bill was released late Wednesday night in Oklahoma that would ban gender-affirming care for a huge number of people. Oklahoma SB 129 would ban gender-affirming care under the age of 26 years old. Hey, do you guys remember back in like 2016 when like the transphobes were just saying 18 and up and it's fine, 18 and up and it's fine? Their goal is to eliminate trans people from existing in society. The first step is obviously to make it so trans people aren't allowed to exist. They're not allowed to transition, like, medically. But then the next goal is to, like, anybody else who's still around is to, you know, finish off with violence. That is, of course, the far right's end goal. Gen Z would be entirely banned from gender-affirming care until this bill, or under this bill. This prospect is terrifying because Generation Z has been the most open about transitioning, and a bill like this would medically detransition a huge portion of Oklahoma's transgender population. This comes after other states like New Hampshire and South Carolina saw bills filed to raise the age of transition to 21, and places like Florida utilized a sham medical board. By the way, the medical board in Florida is like such a sham, it's insane. That like none of them were real doctors. None of them were real doctors who have any, like, expertise in the field. In fact, the lady who organized the board was, I believe... No, that wasn't the Florida medical... I'm thinking of, well, the things I just said right now are true of the Florida one, but what I was about to say is true of a different right-wing state's medical board. I think it was, like, Mississippi or some other red state, like, southern red state. Jon Stewart, like, grilled a lady who is like a high up for the state official, like government, whatever, who had put together the medical board that was determining how legislation around trans care would be made. And Jon Stewart was like, do you know what any of the background or science behind the decisions that this board you put together is making? Because I've got massive scientific consensus to back up when I'm saying that, like, gender affirming care is good. You're just saying that, like, you've got good doctors you assembled together that are saying these things. What are they saying? Can you even explain what they're saying? What are their sources? What are their backgrounds? What are their expertise? None of these things were provided. Jon Stewart destroyed her. And a not too dissimilar board has been made in Florida as well. And places like Florida utilized a sham medical board to ban gender-affirming care under 18. Slowly, states are moving towards an outright ban on being transgender. It is for these reasons that people have begun calling the attack on gender-affirming care an attempt at genocide. It pretty much is undisputably at this point. Here's the relevant section of the bill. Note earlier in the bill it defines gender transition procedures, quote-unquote, as everything from hormone therapy to surgery. Section 3, new law. A new section of law to be codified in Oklahoma statute as Section 2607.3 of Title 63, unless there is created a duplication in numbering, reads as follows. A physician or other healthcare professional shall not provide gender transition procedures to any individual under 26 years of age. B, a physician or other healthcare professional shall not refer to any individual under 26 years of age to any healthcare professional for gender transition procedures. So basically, like, you can't even go to your doctor and then get referred to a doctor out of state who will take care of you in Oklahoma. You gotta, like, if this passes, you'll have to go out of state just to get a referral to a doctor that'll take care of you. Adult medical detransition bills have been a hypothetical escalation until recent weeks. Anti-trans organizations such as GenSpect and Transgender Trend started pushing for 18 to 25-year-old bans this year. Up until recently, the closest we have come was a representative in Missouri musing over increasing the age of the bill to 25 years old, a decision they declined to make. These earlier discussions of 25 and under bans and indications in committee hearings in states across the United States led me to make a call several months ago that at least one state would attempt to ban gender-affirming care for this age group. If this bill passes, it would be the harshest anti-trans bill ever passed. It would be. I mean, like, literally in a whole state, anyone under the age of 26 is now not legally allowed to transition. Not only that, but it is illegal for physicians to refer people under the age of 26 to doctors out of state that would. Oklahoma has already been on a downward trajectory for transgender rights. Anti-trans bills have been filed and passed in the state multiple times this year. One bill threatened to defund hospitals if they provided gender-affirming care for trans youth. By the way, this is their way of solving what they view as a problem, by the way. Oh, we don't like we think that, like, there's this problem where, like, there's a social contagion making people become, like, think they're a different gender. Let's solve that by defunding hospitals. What a conservative Republican way to solve what they see as a problem. The hospital relented and stopped good to hear. The hospital relented and stopped offering gender-affirming care for this population. Other Oklahoma bills, so it worked, by the way. They threatened to take away funding from the hospital, and then the hospital was like, fuck, okay, and they stopped offering care to people under the age of 26. Other Oklahoma bills have passed, including banning all trans youth from bathrooms that match their gender identity, as well as a sports ban. So these bills have already passed. Trans youth are already banned from bathrooms public bathrooms that go with their identity, and they've already been banned from the sports they want to. So that's already happened. That already happened in Oklahoma. Gender-affirming care saves lives. One study in JAMA showed that gender-affirming care reduced the risk of suicide by up to 73%. Sounds about right from the data that I've seen as well. The consequences of banning this care... Oh, you know what adds an even greater increase to the... or I guess it would be a even greater reduction to the chances of committing suicide or suicidal ideation or depression, not just having access to gender-affirming care, but gender-affirming care access and support of friends and family. Even the support of just one family member is a big deal, even without gender-affirming care. You add that on top of it, and we're talking an even greater reduction in suicidal ideation, depression, and other issues related. The consequences of banning this care, especially for such a large population, are horrifying. It would outright cause an increase in the death rate in the trans community via suicide by a great number, indisputably. Mental anguish from withdrawal of gender-affirming care and refeminization or remasculinization would be too much for many transgender people to take, and the community would face one of its worst mental health crises, leading to real physical harm. This is all true. Bills like this are designed to do two things: stoke fear in the trans community, and turn up the temperature to banning gender-affirming care entirely by shifting the Overton window. Even if these bills don't pass, they help drive trans people out of the state or back into hiding. Likewise, they make it easier for moderates, quote-unquote, to then react with banning the care for quote-unquote, only those under 21 or those under 18. It is easy to see this effect when just 3 years ago the main debate was over transgender people playing sports. Now we're looking at states attempting to eliminate their transgender populations entirely. Yo, what did I miss? Oh, nothing a pillow, just the man-made horrors beyond our possible comprehension. The movement of the Overton window, and this is completely right, by the way, their goal is basically to make it so the concept of banning being trans is on the table, right? Because you have to understand, your average normie dumbfucks, like, in the non-mainstream political space, basically judge what is too far by whether or not the discussion has been brought up already, right? If you're the first person to bring up the discussion, you're a radical and it's a big deal. But if you're the 15th person to bring it up, well, you're just another one of them, right? It's why Marjorie Taylor Greene isn't getting as much attention for being crazy anymore, right? Because now she's just like one of a million crazy Republicans, right? In this case, they want to make it so there's so many, they're just shotgunning so many anti-trans bills, all predicated on these false assumptions that, like, there's some negative aspect to being trans. There's some negative aspect that trans people are contributing to society, whether it be a moral degradation aspect, whether it be a social contagion aspect, whether it be the grooming thing, whether it just be, oh, I don't agree with their political takes and they're cringe. Whatever it may be, their goal is basically to push and shotgun a ton of anti-trans legislation based on those premises to make it so that anti-trans legislation is the norm. That is on the table. Like, it is on the table of discussion that we just make it so trans people don't get to exist anymore and they aren't allowed to, right? That is what they're trying to make a topic of discussion and a plausible thing that they can achieve. That's their goal. Texas recently released a resolution calling for an end to gender-affirming care entirely. These bills are designed to be passed as anti-trans voices take over the Republican Party. People like Chaya Raichik of Libs of TikTok, Tucker Carlson of Fox News, and Matt Walsh of Daily Wire have turned their huge audiences on the trans community in a moral panic unlike anything we have ever seen. It is imperative that we show up and stop these bills, both in Oklahoma and around the United States. I want to be clear right now, if you're trans, or frankly just LGBT of any kind, but if you're trans in particular, because trans people, and trans women especially, are like the broad, or not the broad, the more hyper-focused targets of this discussion, you are fighting demons. You have actual fucking demons who hate you for who you are, okay? I want you to know that your existence stands as an affront to what actual evil fucking demons stand for. You existing hurts them. Now, this serves two purposes. On one hand, that's based and awesome, right? Because, like, you literally being alive right now, every breath that you take is like a kick in their balls. If you're trans or LGBT, every breath that you take is a swift kick in the balls to a Nazi. Think of it that way, okay? On the other hand, it also means that these Nazis are heavily, heavily incentivized to kill you. Or, as they're trying to do here, to make you kill yourself. Listen, I'm cis and I'm straight, but I've looked at the data, okay? Nazis like to tout this 40% suicide statistic as sort of like an epic own on the trans community. Though the funny thing is, if you can call it funny, it's actually a self-own. That number refers to the amount of suicidal ideation and suicide attempts in non-supported, non-transitioning, non-access to, like, the ability to transition trans people. It's not even a correct number, but it's closer to that. So it's a cell phone. It's actually a cell phone because the number they're referring to is a number that is more accurate to how trans people are before they get access to transitioning treatment, right? But on the other hand, it also means that these people are very, 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 very motivated to kill you or make you try to kill yourself because they want to take away your access to gender-affirming care. They've seen the numbers. They've seen the statistics. They tout them all the time as an epic own for a reason. And it's because they hope that if they can just withhold gender-affirming care from as much of the trans community as possible, maybe a large portion of the trans community will just take care of it themselves. That's probably what they're thinking. They don't have to do a genocide themselves if they can basically just make it so the material conditions of every trans person is such as that statistically a lot of them would choose suicide or attempt suicide. Like, that's what they're doing. That's very overtly and clearly what they're doing. Do we have anybody here who lives in Oklahoma and is down to say so? Oh, it's actually 82%. Data indicates that 82% of transgender individuals have considered killing themselves and 40% have attempted... Okay, so it's 40% is the number of who have attempted suicide. 82% is individuals who have considered it. And then obviously we saw like the 72%, or sorry, 73% drop in suicide risk of trans people just from having gender affirming care. And then I believe it's also another really big chunk for having, as I mentioned before, friend or family support, or just, I think the number was just the support of one family member or one friend contributed a massive extra decrease in chance or risk of suicide. So yeah, I'm going to say this right now to every single trans or LGBT person watching this. Living is an own on these people, okay? Every breath that you take, every heartbeat that your heart does is another dunk that you do on these people, okay? They seethe. They fucking seethe and they mold. Another hair falls out of their molding head every day that passes that you're still alive, okay? So I want you to think about that if worse comes for worse. That's what I want you to think about. Anyway, if you enjoyed this segment, please consider leaving a like. It really does help out the channel, my videos, my segments, and just overall, my content in general. You can also follow my social medias, linked down below in the description. You can also subscribe, ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so that YouTube tells you when I go live or I upload new video on my channel. And of course, you can also, watch my stream and support me financially on my other platforms, most notably my website, xanderhall.com/live. That's the chat you see on screen right now is my website chat. And you can click the buttons up there on the top left of the screen, either the donate or the sub button, to either donate subs to other people, donate to me, or to sub for yourself. I really do appreciate anyone who does that, but you can also support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, and Patreon. With all that said, thank you so much for watching, and have a good one.